Overrated guitar players. Is there such a thing, and if yes, why? That's what I wanted to find out a couple of days ago, so that's why I asked you amazing people in a community voting. Are there guitarists or solos you feel are overrated? I'd love to know your thoughts on this, post them below. And this turned into an extremely interesting discussion that I would like to cover real quick. First of all, I think it's interesting that kind of a lot of people said no, everyone's perfectly rated. As you might know, I'm also kind of more on the positive side of things, especially when it comes to music and guitar playing. But I'm also very curious about your opinions. So 75% said yes, I'll post them below. So one name that keeps popping up quite a lot is Kirk Hammett, and that always kind of hurts me a lot personally, because that's the guitar player that made me pick up a guitar. Actually, when I think of it, I think it was more the riffs actually that drew me to the guitar at the start, so it might have been James. Battery, or one more super underrated one, then I will stop. If you can name this hidden gem down in the comments, we can officially be best friends. So I know that some of the guitar solo work on the latest record and maybe on the latest couple of records is not that inspired. As you probably know, a lot of it is improvised nowadays. The only thing why I guess people keep talking about that is because he had such great iconic moments back in the 80s and early 90s. I personally will never forget the first kind of actually shred lick that I started out with, which is the famous run in Creeping Death. Overall, a really cool solo with some memorable parts. I think with him, it's not about people wanting him to play super technical, sweep-picking stuff. It's also not what I would like to hear in a Metallica solo. It would just be nice to hear something more thought out and composed again. We also have Freebird on here, of course. It's super fun, but it's basically bends the B string, the solo. Something like this, I think. I never learned or really practiced this one, and I'm also not too familiar with the solo and song, I'm sorry to say. Zakk Wylde, if you heard one of his solos, you've heard them all. Okay, that's pretty harsh. I think he has some pretty cool stuff that's very different from how I approach guitar solos, because I got into the whole shredding thing quite quickly as a teenager, which is mostly 3-note per string stuff aside from the arpeggios. But he does a lot of pentatonic stuff. I think he also extends the pentatonic lines to 3 notes per string sometimes. But he does a lot of cool 2-note per string stuff as well, which I think is quite hard to speed up, especially for someone that's very used to playing 3 notes per string most of the time. I guess if you do a lot of pentatonic stuff, you usually use very similar kind of patterns. But what's a really cool trademark is the excessive use of pinch harmonics, of course. That's always fun, and also the super wide vibrato is actually also kind of nice. I think that's kind of cool. Then we have a really interesting opinion. There are a lot of skilled musicians that don't play for the song. They just try to show off and forget that few simple notes can be much better than 1000 random notes. So this is quite interesting, and I have to agree, this is something I struggle with as a guitar player for sure, because I practice a lot and I'm really into the fast stuff because it's just high adrenaline, especially when you play it live on stage. But if the entire solo sounds like this and it's just scale runs and arpeggio drills, of course it's not that interesting. Ty Madsen says Burnt is underrated. That's very kind of you. Then this is also very interesting. Not a particular guitarist or solo, but the whole Instagram guitarist thing is so overrated. Yeah, it works for clicks and it's impressive, but that's about all it is. Sometimes fast or technical does not always mean good. So this is interesting because for me, I do these fun reels with these challenges, like when I'm only playing on one string and I do like the hand over the top kind of thing, inspired by the great Michelangelo video. I mostly see that as a fun challenge for me to really get the best take possible and to make it look cool and fun. And those videos usually tend to go viral much more than when you just play a normal song. But whenever I tried making songs like that are way too crazy, the videos worked quite well, that promoted the song because they were fun to watch, but it's not really something that led people over to Spotify, which is my most important goal. I'm a touring musician and I want to play in a city near you very soon. I just finished a really cool European run together with Charlesbert 2 and Ola England with a lot of sold out shows. And for me, that's mostly because songs like Farewell, should play that one with a clean patch, I guess, or Waterworks. Those tracks did really well on streaming. So for my kind of playing, I divide that into two separate things. On one hand, the crazy Instagram sort of stuff, because it's fun to make for me. But what I post over there is not always connected to a song. So in my case, it's kind of a different thing. By the way, speaking of the latest tour, my good friend and musical colleague, so to say, Charles Berthoud, just reached 2 million subscribers on his channel, and I'm super proud of him. That's the result of very hard work and of being an amazing musician. So big congrats, Charles, if you're watching. I really think you're nailing it. You're an amazing person and an amazing player as well. But for us as a guitar community, it's a total disaster, because how can a bass channel have more subscribers than a guitar channel? So if you're a guitar player, we have to take action right now. If you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button right now. We need to prove that guitar is the more relevant, better instrument. So subscribe right now. We must beat the bass community. This is very, very important. All jokes aside, if you're not subscribed to Charles's channel yet, make sure to do that. His videos are just as awesome as his playing and music. Kurt Cobain is an obvious choice, but he did write some legendary riffs. I mean, who doesn't love the Smells Like Teen Spirit riff? Don't know the exact dead note pattern, but we all know the riff. And I think the solo in this song is also very fitting, just the vocal melody as described. It's super catchy, the sound is kind of cool. And once again, a solo like this wouldn't have really worked for the track. Yeah, that's a bit too crazy. We also have some underrated mentions, which I like. Guthrie Govan is very underrated. He's by far one of the greatest guitar players out there. I could not agree more with that. He's a big inspiration for me as well, because he mostly can play pretty much anything and sound like he really loves the music. So I've seen him play some really cool heavy riffs, of course, some blues stuff, jazz stuff, fusion stuff, Latin-inspired stuff. So he truly sounds like he mastered all of those different things and he loves playing them. I feel like you can give Guthrie pretty much anything, from a technical death metal song to like a Latin jazz standard thing. We have David Gilmour popping up quite often. I'm honestly not a big Pink Floyd fan. That's something I never really got into, but I know a lot of people that are. It's obviously a legendary band, so maybe one day when I have time I can really closely listen to it and try to see what other people see in it. I'm not one of those people who makes fun of like slow guitar solos that are all about bending and expression and emotion. Maybe not that slow. I think everything has a place, from very slow melodic stuff to high speed stuff. I don't think one is better than the other. I just personally never gravitated towards that kind of bluesy stuff that much. But who knows what will happen in the future? As much as I love Slayer, Kerry King, his solos, yeah, you can read it on screen. Well, Slayer has always been kind of a riff band, and they have really, really cool riffs that I also loved as a kid. Super great alternate picking workout or tremolo picking workout. And it also has this really cool middle part. I don't know if I remember how to play it. And then, yeah, I can't remember the kind of run that comes after that. But Kerry King's solo in Ditto Head is actually really, really cool. It's a kind of a hidden gem track, I think. So overall, what are my personal thoughts when it comes to this debate? Obviously, on one side, we have extremely gifted guitar players that work very hard and play the craziest, most virtuosic stuff imaginable that a lot of players think are underrated because they are playing smaller venues since they're a niche music act. And on the other hand, we have players that guitarists think are very overrated because they play very, very simple stuff in arenas and stadiums and huge festivals. Honestly, I think both are okay. Why not? It just depends on what you personally prefer. I like a lot of players, to be honest, in both of these categories. And if you're a guitar player yourself, I think as long as you follow what you think is interesting and don't try to lean into something too hard because you think it will make you different, interesting, or successful or whatever, you will be a success because you will feel fulfilled and happy with the music that you're making and your guitar playing. And honestly, I think that's kind of all that counts, right? So if you watched this video all the way until this point, I think you're interested in guitar music. If you want to hear some really, really cool tracks and also have a very unique collector's item at home, my new album Elemental is finally available on vinyl, and it turned out looking really, really cool. This is the limited edition splatter version, and As I said, really cool collector's item. Even if you don't have a record player, having this one at home is pretty cool, I think. Once again, it's a limited edition and you can pick it up right now with the link down below. It has all my greatest hits on there, so to say. It has songs like Farewell, Waterworks, also my collab tracks with Ichi Canito, Nick Nocturnal, Anthony Vincent, Ola England, Charles Bertou, Charlie Robbins aka Sincado, and Manuel Gardner Fernandez. So if you love guitar music, I think you're gonna enjoy this record called Elemental. I also added the streaming link down below. Go follow me on Spotify because I will release a new track next week if everything works out as planned. Thanks so much for your amazing support. See you in the next video. Greetings from LA and bye bye.